Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show we have retired military veteran and real estate entrepreneur, currently has businesses for flipping and wholesaling, long-term, short-term rentals, skip tracing, and coaching within the real estate space, JP Kilduff in Melbourne, Florida. JP, welcome to the show.
Hey Dylan, thanks a lot, man.
I always like to start off at the top by asking folks how they got into the real estate space.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't know if this exists anymore, but while I was a drill instructor in boot camp for the Coast Guard, I used to live up in Cape May, New Jersey, and train all the recruits that would come through boot camp. And I would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and drive over and wake the recruits up. And there was like a month there, literally like 4 weeks, where every morning I would drive to work. There was this ad on the radio that was like, "Do you want to learn how to flip houses with no money out of your pocket in your own backyard?" And so I heard it and I heard it and heard it. And after like the third or fourth week, I'm like, oh my gosh, make it stop. So I'm calling the number. I just got to call the number. Maybe it'll stop. So I called the number. I went to a 90-minute preview event up in Atlantic City. And when I was there, I brought my wife with me. And, they give you like the little hotel pen and notepad. And I just remember in those 90 minutes, man, I took like 7 pages worth of notes of what was being said. And I looked at my wife at the end and I was like, dang, that was a lot of great information for free. And then, of course, at the end of all these little events comes this pitch for you to go from a free event to a paid event. And it was a 3-day event over in Philadelphia for like $197. And I just remember me and my wife got up. We're walking to the back of the room and like everybody's walking and there's that table that you have to go sign up on if you believed in what they were selling. And I just remember looking at my wife and looking at everybody else. And it was like that feeling of almost like shame if I wanted to say yes and feel like I got suckered into buying, more than what was being given for free. But, in the military, we don't get rich in the military. So $197 back then, I was just like, I was really considering it. And
I know.
like, this is either going to be the best or the worst $200 that we ever spent. And so we went back to the table and exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. You got people walking out of the room that are like pointing and they got their fingers over their face and they're just like, "Oh, sucker, they got you." And so I signed up. And then there was about 3 weeks from that event to the 3-day event that I bought. And during that time, I went online and I started researching reverse wholesaling and all these things that I wrote down. And I came across a website called Bigger Pockets. And this was back in 2016. And so I think there was only like 200,000 people on Bigger Pockets at that time. And so I started digging and like everybody was bashing real estate gurus. Everybody was bashing it. They're like, "Do not do it. Go on YouTube, find a mentor, search through Bigger Pockets, figure all that stuff out. You don't need to pay people for education." And so during those 3 weeks, I was like, oh man, I looked at my wife. It was like the day before the 3-day event. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to go. She's like, why wouldn't you go? I'm like, they had just like it like convinced me that I was going into something where all they were going to do was sell me into a $30,000 coaching program. And so
Yeah.
she's like, just go. Like, she's like, I got the kids, go over there for 3 days and see what you get. Dude, I got there and at the first event, like I sat down there and I was just like I was like closed minded and just like kind of pissed off that I was there. And then like the first session, this guy is telling us like how like wealthy real estate entrepreneurs invest into real estate without using their own money and how they gain the capital. And
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
like literally giving us like the blueprint of what we could go out and do to get all this money. And like my jaw was dropped and it was like a 45-minute session. I looked around and there was like a superintendent teacher sitting next to me. I had a construction worker behind me. There was a doctor behind me. And I just looked around and like everybody was like, their jaws were on the floor of how like people do this. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Let me see what else we got going on. And so through those 3 days, what was coming from stage, it was just like gold, man. Like it felt like the truth to me. It spoke to me. And so, they did. They pitched a $30,000 coaching program. I had to figure out how to go home and tell my wife that we were going to spend $30,000 on this coaching program by liquidating my kids' college savings, opening up credit cards and liquidating the credit cards and all this stuff that they teach you how to do at the event so that way you can sign up. And I did it. I mean, she didn't say yes, but after a couple of times, she didn't say no. So that was all I needed to hear. And then I got into coaching. All right, I hired a coach. I got the program, and I did well, man. I'm a soldier, and so I followed every step, every coach call. I was just like, yep, I'll go do it. And I ended up doing 8 deals in my first year
Wow.
while I was active duty military training recruits like 90 hours a week. And so that's kind of the origin story.
So you were doing deals while being a DI?
Yeah, yeah, I know. As if being a DI wasn't enough.
So how do you have the mental, because you're sleep deprived, of course,
Yeah.
right? You're hugely, you have the mental capacity to go learn after this?
Yeah, I think it's just like one of those things, like there was a fire inside me, like something spoke to me during those events that I couldn't turn off. So
Yeah.
it was like, as soon as I got home, I took my Coast Guard uniform off, I put my company shirt on, and I just like banged out training, I banged out my action items, and I almost couldn't sleep because I was so fired up. I had so much passion for what it was that I was learning. And like literally that first year, dude, like I had to make a agreement with my family. I said, I might not be around this year. I'm going to be building our future, our exit plan from the military. And I literally cut off all TV, all sports, everything. No fantasy football, nothing like that, man. It
Mm,
was literally
that's
eat,
a
breathe,
sacrifice.
sleep. Yeah, man. But I knew it's what I needed to do. And it's the way that I do everything, man. Like I'm all in. I go all in on everything. And so, yeah, dude, it was a hell of a year for sure.
And so at that point in time, I think you said 2016. How old were you at that point in time?
Oh gosh, dude. 34.
So prior to that, had you thought about real estate investing and being a real estate entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's always been in the back of my mind. During the crash, 2009, I remember it was December 16th, 2009. It was like after a football game, 60 Minutes had came on and they interviewed this guy down in Miami who was dealing with all these foreclosures with the bank, and it was called property preservation. And so I remember, I've always had an entrepreneur mindset, and I'm like I'll see something, I'm like, dang, I missed that boat, right? Oh, I missed that boat. How do I get in on something like that? And I saw this interview on 60 Minutes, and I'm like, this is it. I can get on this boat like while it's happening. And so I ended up going on the 60 Minutes website, trying to find out who this guy was. And then somebody else came on and was like, hey, I know how to set you up to do all this. And so I started a property preservation business in 2009, and I ran it for about 9 months. And I got like to the point where it was big enough where I should hire somebody, because I was military. I was going to college full time.
Yeah.
My wife was pregnant with twins. And so it was like I had a lot going on, and I got to a point where it was like getting bigger than me, and I had to make a decision. It was either hire somebody, which I was definitely afraid of. I didn't know how to pay. I didn't want to have to deal with any of that stuff. And
Sure.
so instead of growing, because I didn't know what I was doing, I just sold my half of my business to my business partner that I started it with, and that was the
Washing
it
the
for the
hands of
first
it,
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
when I think about this, I think about people, government jobs. I mean, that you kind of were in the most extreme government job that you could have, right? And, talk about time commitment. But I also think about real estate being a vehicle for people to really adapt to a different lifestyle. Like, how do you move from one thing to another type of thing? And I think about this because, I wasn't making a crazy transition. I went from the car business to real estate. But even for me at the time, the reason why I got into real estate was because I was 26, 27, living in San Antonio, Texas, and seeing my rents go up and up and up. And I thought, I had a nice car, nice apartment. I remember because I had two pools and two gyms, which was like for me heaven. I'm like, I got two
Yeah,
pools,
man.
two gyms in the
You
apartment
made
complex.
it. You made it.
Exactly. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm doing great. But then I was seeing, home prices, and I was saying, I don't know if I can do that. How am I going to do that? And maybe similar to you, it wasn't radio, but I somehow maybe on my Instagram feed it was like cash for keys, or, deals with no money down out of pocket. I was like, well, that can't be real. Some things ended up happening in automotive where I was seeing we weren't getting paid what I felt was fair for our time commitment. In many cases at the dealer that I was at, you're there 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then 12 hours on a sixth day. You don't really see
Yeah.
your family. It's just kind of how it is. And I was thinking, man, there's got to be another way. So I didn't go $30,000 deep. I didn't take on that much risk. But I did leave my job, go start working for a real estate company, and I started to have my eyes open, networking events. And I was thinking, like, man, how come I wasn't doing this, 5 years earlier when I was, 21, 22?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
come
yeah.
when I was doing all this? And it was honestly because my family, and maybe you can relate to this, or maybe you have a different perspective on this. No one in my family or my extended family or people that I knew invested in real estate. That seemed like some super high level thing, like that was unachievable. So I couldn't even tell my buddies. Like in San Antonio, when I told my buddies that hey, I want to go be a real estate investor, they just laughed and was like, yeah, okay. And the more I talked about it, the more down I got about it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stop talking about this.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's same. It was like one of those things where the more like I could tell who I could talk to it about and who I couldn't talk to it about. And the people that I could talk to it about were the new friends that I was making in
In
the
real estate.
circle, in
Yeah.
in the space. Yeah, because, like you said, man, like it it's a mindset and a lifestyle to be a W-2 worker and not necessarily create something for yourself with all that risk, right? There's a lot of risk that's involved in what we're
Yeah.
doing. And there's a lot of people that are very, very risk adverse. And so it's like, when you talk to them about something like this, where you're creating, taking risk, you're probably going to get feedback like, oh, I wouldn't do that. The
Exactly.
economy, the this, that, the other. And so it's like, if you listen to that, then you'll be stuck as they say on that, what the rat
Rat
race
race.
on the wheel, so yeah,
You know
man.
what it was for me was I was I don't know if everyone can relate to this, but I think maybe younger millennials, Gen Z, people can relate to this is maybe you go to school or maybe you don't go to school, but you're seeing wages not keep up with everything else and you're saying, "Well, I know my parents are going to have I don't know how they're going to retire. I know how old my folks are. I don't know if their money's going to last forever. My money sure as hell isn't going to last forever. So what do I got to do?" And then you're seeing home prices go up. I'm in Texas, so maybe I'm more cost effective than where I'm originally from. You mentioned Cape May, New Jersey. I'm from northern New Jersey. So I
Okay.
know 27 miles from Manhattan. So I know all about like high price real estate and just not being able to afford, a middle class home, or so I thought, because that middle class home is now like $800,000. So
Yep.
what do I do? So for me, when I was hearing that thing about, hey, you don't, big risk, I'm like, there's a lot of risk in doing this. Like, I don't want to be renting forever. Like, I'm cool with renting for now. The two pools and the nice car and this and that seems nice now. But sooner or later, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be, 60. And what's going to happen then? And I don't know why, but that was like a deep, almost like existential concern for me. And I think other people may be cool with just kind of going 1 year at a time. But for me, I was hyper, and still am hyper concerned on like, what is it going to look like when I'm, late 50s, 60s? Like, what's my life going to be like?
Yeah, yeah. What are you waiting for, right? Like that was actually the thing that from the stage during that 3-day weekend, the thing that stuck out to me the most, that when he asked the question, I didn't have an answer for, which is what like motivated me, was like, he kept saying like, okay, you guys, you want to be rich, you want to be wealthy, you want to live this lifestyle, like, but you have all these reasons why you're not doing it. Like, if not now, then when? Right. And I was like, and I asked myself that question. I'm like, okay, if not now, then when am I ever going to do this? Right. Like, I'm always going to find a reason to not do it. So if not now, then when? And I'm just like, and dude, it's like replayed in my head over and over and over and over again. And it's like,
Yeah.
when I told you, man, like I just take action now. Like I don't try to plan all that stuff out. I just take action and then I use the feedback to guide me on what I need to do next. And so like that really like resonated with me during that weekend.
To your point, JP, when I think about real estate operators and the 100 plus that I've interviewed on this show and others that I've talked to outside of here, the kind of hallmark of real estate operators is they will solve problems. They're actually comfortable with problems because they're dealing with them every day. If a
Yeah.
problem gets to a high level real estate operator, it's because it's a problem someone else couldn't solve. And then also they're able to adapt because the same strategy that worked in, 2001 is not going to necessarily work today. And it might not work in 2005. It might not work in 2008, right? It might not work in 2014. So having to constantly adapt is huge. And I think you mentioned that, which brings me pivoting a bit here, JP. Land is actually, I'm looking at a land deal right now in West Dallas. I'm looking at 3 acres. Maybe we'll see what happens here. Maybe put a modular home on it. Land is something that I think is very interesting. I think there's a huge opportunity for, affordable housing, but there's so many plays in land. What's your business like in land? How'd you get into land? And let's talk about land.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about land. As you can see, I don't know if the video's on, but I love land. I've got a big poster in the back here. Actually, it's kind of a joke because my business partner, his name is Nick. He after he saw me flipping houses, he was like, "Hey, man, I see you flipping all these houses. I want to get in." And so, I pushed him down a certain route, and he started flipping houses. And then in 2021. actually like 2020, 2021, he made a switch from flipping houses to land. He bought a land course and joined some land
Hmm.
communities. And he was doing that for a couple of years while he was on Iraq as a military contractor. And then when he came back home, he saw me like after I retired from the military and I moved back to Florida, which is where he lives. And he saw me making posts for like, project updates, looking for contractors, looking for money. And he called me up and he's like, JP, he goes, I'm gonna like save your life here, dude. I'm gonna help you out. Like you should probably come over to the land side. And dude, like most real estate investors, I used to coach for a lot of different organizations. And when you start talking about land to people who flip houses, like they're like, most people are like, what's the value in the
A
dirt? Like,
land,
what's the
yeah.
value? Like, who's gonna buy some freaking piece of dirt in the middle of nowhere? But the value in all real estate is the land, right? And
Yep.
then it's just all about the features and the location, the access, and all that stuff. And so he hits me up. He's telling me this, and I'm like, and he's wanting me to partner with him because he's seen me build my house flipping business, my skip tracing business, my social media management business. And he's like, I know you know how to build businesses and scale and put systems and processes in place. And I'm like, Nick, I'm sorry, man, but I'm not a great partner because I don't sleep much and I work like 20 hours a day by choice. It's what I love to do. And it's just not fair to whoever I partner with. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I appreciate it, but I'm good. And even then, like the idea of land that was so foreign to me, the concept of land, I was at that point still thinking like who the hell even would want to buy land
Buy
anyway?
land.
I wouldn't want to deal with that, right? And
Yeah.
so he hit me up again and again and again. And then like Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, he's like, I'm driving to your house, dude, and I'm bringing you my business. I'm going to show you what this thing looks like. So he drove to my house. We had a Friendsgiving here. We had like all my friends from the real estate space came over and we did like a Thanksgiving, like a Friendsgiving. And he came and then like he pulled me into my office. He's like, look at my business. Let me show you what we're working with here. And he like opens up a spreadsheet and he's like, this is the business. I'm like, the spreadsheet is the business? And he's like, yeah, dude. And I'm like, where's the rest of it? And he's like, this is it. He's like, I flipped 30 land deals in the last year and a half, and I've made multiple six figures off this spreadsheet. And I'm like, it's that simple. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, just do one land deal with me. So we ended up doing a land deal together. And dude, after I did that first land deal, I didn't have to raise money. I didn't have to do inspections. I didn't have to get insurance, utilities, contractors, any of that stuff. And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, let's build a business together, dude.
That's
So
amazing.
I came over from the house flipping space, from, the skip tracing space and stuff like that. And so like, the poster back here that says I love land is kind of like a joke to prove to him like I'm all in on the land business. I love land, Nick. Like I actually I haven't flipped a house in like over a year now. No, 2 years actually. I haven't flipped a house in over 2 years. Now that I'm fully into land. And so that's what got me into land was Nick. And Nick, he's highly concentrated in Arkansas and
Hmm.
doing like 2 to 20 acres. And basically out of like 6 to 12 counties in Arkansas, he just pulls lists of landowners with 2 to 20 acres. And then we just market to them, call them, mail them, text them, ringless voicemail, like you name it. Like now that I'm on board, like I'm the one that does like all the systems and the processes and stuff like that. So I've taken, what he used to do, which was just send mailers, which is like typical in the land space. All they used to
Yep.
do is direct mail. And I introduced all these other marketing platforms, and that's what we do, man. So we concentrate highly concentrated in Arkansas, and we've just added South Carolina and Florida because we did a year of PPC and we
Yeah.
went nationwide to kind of see what the feedback was. And we realized like we absolutely loved the leads that we got in South Carolina, Florida, and we love Arkansas. So, we do everything from smaller infill lots that builders buy to larger acreage that we subdivide into smaller parcels or, entitle and sell it to a developer.
I want to get granular and give away some of the game, but not all of it. Okay, so
Oh,
give
I'll
away
give
a couple
away,
nuggets.
I'm an open book. I give away the entire game because I know when it comes to what it comes down to is people taking action, and most people
Will not take action.
have a problem taking action. So I'll tell you everything. Ask me anything, dude.
Sidebar about that. I believe the same thing. I'm like, I will give you the exact steps that I took and even what steps I shouldn't have taken. And
Yeah.
here's exactly what you need to do. And I'm feel comfortable with it because I was like, it was hard as heck for me to do it. I don't know if you're going to be up for the task. So, about the land, you mentioned a couple different strategies there. Are you buying these deals yourself and then putting them up on the MLS? Do you have captive buyers? How are you finding buyers? And then what's the deal structure look like?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both actually. So we primarily focus on double closes, and so all of our contracts are written for 6 months, which sounds crazy if you're coming from
Crazy.
flipping houses, right?
Yeah.
So we do a contract that's 6 months long, and then during that 6 months, we let the buyer know, or the seller knows, excuse me, the seller knows that we are not the end buyer. And we do buy some, we take them down, we hold them. Sometimes we sell them on owner finance. This is like what we tell the seller, right? We let the seller know that we have a lot of different options. But right away, when we get something under contract, we put it out to our buyers, and sometimes our buyers come off of the MLS, they come off of Facebook Marketplace, or from within our own database. And so that's exactly what we do. We put it under contract, and then immediately it goes up on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I would say 80% of our deals are sold, are on Facebook Marketplace. And so on top of that, we do some additional marketing while we're under contract. They're really cracking down on this now, but we used to list it on the MLS using a flat fee listing.
Yeah.
But now they're saying like everything has to be notarized. There has to be an attorney in fact, and then even some states are saying like no,
Can't do it.
yeah, you can't even with all that you have to own it if you want to put it on the MLS. So that's really changed a lot of the way we've gotten exposure on the MLS. But then we still go around and we put it on land.com, we put it on Zillow. We put it on Craigslist. We put it on eBay, and like there's a lot of other websites that we put it on. But like I said, the majority of the time, like we know right away if we've got a good deal in a good county at a good price, because Facebook Marketplace, like it
Hit you
blows
up.
up right away. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned double closing. Double closing is something I'm interested in personally. There's a couple different ways double closes work. Are you guys using pass-through funding? Are you closing on it yourself and then they're closing on it? I mean, that's the general gist of it, but the actual like logistics of the double close, is everyone the same or is each one a little bit different?
So I would say the majority of them we do with we'll close with our own money and then sell it the same day. We double close it that way. We do have title companies that will do pass through closing, but there's a lot of when you're working with people who are selling and then buying, dude, there's so many different things that could go wrong
Yeah.
that it just takes the buyer getting spooked a little bit, because in the land space, dude, there's so many scams.
Hmm.
And it doesn't take much to spook a buyer or spook a seller. And we've had several sellers that the day of closing, like something happened, the title company messed up with like communications, or they
Yeah.
saw the wrong HUD, and then they just didn't show up to closing, and we lost out on like $20,000-$30,000 profit. And so we typically, in order for us to be able to protect our investment of time and marketing and effort and all that, is we like to close on it as soon as we find a buyer. As soon as we identify a buyer, we like to close on it and then have that buyer buy it from us the same day.
Now, has there ever been a case where you've closed on it yourself and then the end buyer doesn't close on it for some reason?
No, we haven't had any buyers back out.
Now, hypothetically, if that were to happen to someone, right, they would still be buying it at such a price where it would be potentially advantageous to them. They got it at a pennies on the dollar, hypothetically, if that were to happen.
Yeah, and 100%. And there's so many different exit strategies other than just selling it straight out for cash. Like you can turn around. This is actually one of my favorite things, is you can turn around and you can owner finance it to somebody who maybe doesn't have the cash to buy the whole thing, but they still want to have access to land to go out and do hunting or four-wheeling or
Hmm.
camping or whatever it is that they want to do. And so you can turn around and you can owner finance, and like what people owner finance for, it's all over the spectrum. I see people owner financing with a dollar down, $99 a month. And so it's like they just get buyers like that. And then like our personal strategy is, though, we want to get 20% of what we purchased it for at a minimum. We want to get, I'm sorry, what we could sell it for, not what we could purchase it for. We want to get 20% of what we could sell it for as a down payment. And
Yeah.
then what we structure as far as payments go, the term and all of that is all negotiable as long as we can recoup our money within the first 12 months. That's our game plan. And so what we're doing is we're building out owner finance structures where we recoup everything in that first year.
Very cool. Very cool. I think there's so many different plays with land and a lot of
Yeah.
different real estate, but with land specifically, I'm just now, you mentioned your buddy got you into the land space. It took a while. I'm just now seeing the light. I'm saying, oh, there's a lot going on with this land thing. And I'm in Texas, so there's not like we've got an insufficient supply of land out here. JP,
No, you have an amazing group of land investors there
yeah.
in Texas that, I mean, meetups all over in Austin, in Dallas. I mean, you're in Dallas, dude. You have like one of the bigger investors in the space of land is up there in Dallas. And I think he has a local meetup group. We'll have to connect after this and I'll share it with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We are coming up on time here, JP. Where can folks go to learn more about your business, maybe get in touch with you?
Yeah, so on all platforms, I'm at jpkilduff.me. So I'm typically most active on Facebook, just that's where I've built all my business and that's where all my stuff gets posted. So Facebook, if you, here's what I would say is we do talk to a lot of house flippers that don't know how to evaluate leads for land. They just have like a pipeline of like, they're like, okay, this is land and we'll put it over here. We actually have a program where we'll partner with you and we'll work that land lead so that way you can make some money off some stuff you would probably never touch. So if you want to go to veteranlandbuyers.com/partner, that's where you can submit land leads and just learn a little bit more about us, our process, what we have going on. You guys can cruise the website and see everything that's there.
JP, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Congrats on all your success and to your future success.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.